Good morning, good morning. We are back from vacation. Happy post-holidays to anybody that celebrates. I am excuse me, choking on the love. I am celebrating. I need to change the name on this thing to episode 7114. But other than that, I'm celebrating being on vacation this week. So I'm a professional designer right now. Hey, if you don't know who I am, my name is Phil. I create PDFs on the DMsGuild for 5e content. Give me a second here to post on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, I've just posted that I am live on YouTube. So what we do here is we build text for books. And then after they're back from edits, we put them into layouts. And then we do illustrations, cartography, tokens, all the little visual art assets that go along with a product. We put on DMsGuild. And all of our content on DMsGuild is, anything I publish anyway, is always 100% preview, cover to cover. There's a list of books down in the description down below that you can kick through to see the kind of artwork I produce, just how I produce things in general, and that I am true to my word, and that I produce these things so you can read them through yourself. These things take an incredibly long time. As you can see, we're on episode like 71 right now. This is the book cover that we created here on stream maybe 20 episodes ago, and so you'll see this on the DMsGuild once it publishes. And here is the map that we are currently working on that we've been arguing with over the past couple days. I'm going to put a timer on my clock. 20 minutes bop. Boy, I'm having a day already, yo. Okay, great. So I've been messing around with the cartography, with the spacing here on these cemeteries, or rather on these graves for a while now, and I feel like I want to just be freaking done. To put it mildly, get out. So we're going to add just some bits to this. And then we'll be able to go back through and clean up the line art on this junk and continue forward with where we thought we were going to leave off last time. Just get after it. So we're going to merge down here. Merge, don't do it. No, merge. And we'll grab at this. Paste down. Oops. There. Nope. Copy. Paste like that. There. Nope. Copy, paste like that. Okay, cool. Okay. There's a sound argument. Okay, that'll work out better. Let's do that. do all this anyway. That is panning out nicely. Get rid of these with ease. This is feeling much more organized and clear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So we do this. So what happens if I do it this way? To create a weird gap. It needs to be here. Which is unto itself a weird gap. I have to redo all these squares anyway, so I may as well just block them in the way I want them blocked in. Yeah, let's not add bodies here, but instead let's grab here. Two, no, that's too crowded. Boy, oh boy, I want that to work. Can I? Maybe I can. Maybe we can do that. Not a big fan of how awful that how that's off of alignment by a square. Yeah, but I'm not disappointed with it. Let's see. Let's see what this button does. Yeah, something like that. I don't hate that. Like, at all. I did that. Not quite there, is it? Two and two. No, I mean, the math there works out. So there's potential here. Let's give it a go. Yeah. Oh, that does work out. Nice. Let's do that. Down here and go, hey, what up, Zonnie? Ozzy, man, good morning, dude. I am bright-eyed and bushy-tailed back from my time away on vacation. I'm gonna keep at this stuff. Yeah, well, I'm not happy that this doesn't line up. Well, we can do that. We can do like that. Now it just seems like this thing's the one that's wrong. You know? Like it should be like this and behave. But it doesn't. Oh, God, that's clumsy. Hate it. Hate it. I hate how clumsy that is. I'm liking the graveyard. I mean, I need to redo all of these squares once I resolve where these things are sitting at. But I mean, that's not going to be difficult. It's just getting the final layout of this place resolved. So I actually like it. That's important here. And so we got the 10-foot wide pathways, but then it breaks out to larger down here, which is okay because it's flanking. But it puts the location of this gazebo into question. One, two, and God, it's off. It's just off. 3 and 4, and 2 and 2. Yeah, the civil engineering's real, my dude. Well, I could... See, it's like 4 there and 3 here. How does the... See, like if I pull this forward off a square, like if I do this, and scoot these over a square, now this is off, like this is off, so like this corner feels like it's the one that's weird. I don't think I like that. Don't think I like that. Nah, this is fine. It's maybe I don't have to fret so hard over it. You know? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. Have to think it's important. Or maybe I'm content with it because I give up. Maybe that's my big brain. And since I have to redo all of them anyway, I may as well get a little sloppy. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 by 4, 16, 16. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Don't hate it. All right, cool. We'll keep it. We're just going to keep it like this. It works. So, we're just going to make it work. Since it wants to work, we're going to just let it work. So. Yes! That's exactly why it's so difficult. Building this out so that you can take the cemetery and layer it in and with these A4 whatever page, like the legal document size, 11 by 17s, whatever. This is 10 by 14. It fits on 11 by 17, but you're absolutely right. That is the difficulty. When I first built this map, I hadn't realized the challenge that, like, I hadn't parsed out in my head how I was going to break down the pages, which is a huge logistical problem. You have to know what your content is going in first before you build out the thing. Like, I've got a challenge going on where I'm trying to assess if I'm going to have my document, like the actual adventure, if I'm going to have it doing like landscapes, like portrait style or landscape style pages, because the way that you build the control panel for the page, when you have like a map here and here's text, or do I do a map here and then do text like this, and then like have a facing page like this with more text? Like, those are the two options I have. Either do a control panel style so that all the information fits smoothly onto one page, landscape, or have a 2-page spread portrait style that certainly allows for a lot more data. And honestly, I'm not going to know 100% until the editing is done. We get the raw text document back that's a clean manuscript that I can then start dropping into the layout program for us to parse out where they're at. And like, until then, it doesn't make any sense for me to even attempt to build like any page dressing, or to predict what spaces are going to be open in the document for illustrations, or even to know how large of a map there's going to be on the page, because I don't have the actual dimensions that I'm working in. Though, I mean, I would love to build in a portrait in a landscape format like this, because that is, you know, it's the shape of your screen that you're using right now, probably. So like it fits really nicely. But I think what's ultimately going to happen is the amount of data in each area that we're describing is probably going to warrant a facing double spread of portrait pages. Just however many, like everything will be formatted to be a dual page, like they call it control panel, where whatever image you have is self-contained to be able to resolve itself. And I think this is probably where we're going to end up heading with this. Like I'd be able to put, like on this double page layout, I'll be able to put this full cemetery like this, and then have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can have 8 brief points about that map here. I can have, you know, cemetery here as a major line item. Drop this down to here if I need to, and have like I doubt I'd have a full page, like a half page illustration like that, but I could have like a top quarter panel section, like a region heading, and then the cemetery underneath it. Like I could even do like this. Like drop this over here, then have cemetery. So I got the text, I got the picture above, I've got the map below, and then this whole page is just nothing but a 2-column data block about what's going on with this illustration here. Yeah, I need to make sure I'm not screwing up my actual map. I mean, I'm ranting around. This is how I have to. This is the planning that we have to do, right? But yeah, I suspect this is how we're going to do it. But I think it's going to be freaking gorgeous. I mean, it's going to be gorgeous when we're done. So that's the important part. This thing is going to be freaking pretty and functional. Oh god, give me that coffee. What's the reason not to build it wide? You can control panel if you like it more. Because of space. I don't want to work with a font that's below 10 points in size. Like the fonts over here in this chat channel, that's about 11-point font. If I go one font smaller than that, that's about the minimum I can functionally use. And make things easily legible when you blow out a whole page. Hold on real quick. Let's go on a quick field trip. DMsGuild. I'll go to Knights and Tricksters. Here's one of the books that's down in my bundle. I have linked down below, but I'm pulling this one out just for samples purposes. I've got a 10-point font going on this page, so in this document as a whole. So let's go down to some of the more control panel looking stuff that we've built for this thing. So here is in this particular document, I built adversaries, which are quick statistics for NPCs that use all the knights, like Eldritch Knight and Arcane Trickster mechanics that we have in the first 11 pages, 12 pages, 13 pages, 13. In the first 12 pages of this document, I distill down into basically 2 pages here for how Arcane Tricksters and Eldritch Knights basically operate as NPCs, like how you can distill all that information above down to some quick data points. And if I make the font smaller than 9 point, it gets a little unless I work with 3 columns, 9 points is too small of a text to balance on the page. With two columns, you're basically stuck with 9 points. So if I go into a control panel format like this, I could potentially do 9-point font, having 1, 2, 3. But if I'm not consistent with the amount of information that's needed on each page, it has to be self-contained within this 8.5 by 8 inch by 10.5 inch space with quarter-inch margins at minimums. I like to have half-page margins because it gives you some breathing room. I have like a full-inch margin down here at the bottom, but I have half-inch, and then I have full-inch up top here, half-inch sidebar, side panels, and then 3/4 inch bottom here. If I do landscape like this, all the information has to fit on one page. Because if I blow this up so that it's going to have just one page on your screen, like if I were to expand this out like this, and then like this is functionally as big as the portrait page can or the landscape can realistically be on the map, and I could potentially get down to a 9-point font running along this is, oops, let's knock that off. Oh my god, knock it off. Oh my god. Computer is trying to kill me. Alright, I'm going to take this, I'm going to break it off into 2 layers here so that I can push it around without messing with the rest of the document. So I can have this, lined up roughly like that. So that gives me one column here. I'm trying to do a bit. Hold on. Alright. Let's hypothesize. Let's say the page is actually a little bit bigger. Something like, not like that. Not like that. Too late, switch. There. We'll do that, just for sample. That allows me to have my borders here on the sides. And still run 2 columns. So text, 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 text. Cemetery illustration like this. Text, 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 text. Maybe I put like cemetery here. See how we're kind of competing in visual space already? It's tricky. Let me get back on screen here. So I'm gonna make eye contact, guys. So I'm gonna make eye contact here. Yeah. Sorry, kind of rambling on here. But yeah, it's there's competing elements. The space is like, I can't have like cemetery run the top of the page like this. That doesn't make sense. And then then I eat up the space here. And then if I'm working with 9-point font, it's gonna be difficult. If I go with the more traditional facing pages, portrait style, then like I said, I can have cemetery here as its own title line. I can easily fit the cemetery map into an 8 by 8 inch space. That's pretty easy. And then I should have enough content here for me to scroll through all the major points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points here. Break down environment stuff, break down visibility stuff here, then have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points here, and I don't know, have some loose doodle room here. So yeah, anyway, all that to say, long story short, too late, visibility. Man, I love the idea of doing it. It just doesn't work. So I gotta let it go. You gotta drown your darlings. That's a key phrase in design work. And that you think something is gonna be cool, and it just frickin' doesn't work. And the only way for your project to move forward is for you to bite the bullet and kill it. kill it dead, so you can move on to bigger and better. So here we are, moving on to bigger and better. I in no way profess to be. I mean, like I'm not an ultra expert at book design and layout and stuff like that. It's just I've got the DMsGuild link down below that we were just looking at like all this stuff here. I mean, I built all these books, so this is, grab this one real quick and jump down and get into that. Yeah, I mean, these are all different books that I designed that basically use the same principle and ideas. This is one of my bundles. I'm working on another one. 36% discount, not bad. But yeah. So now that we officially have the the official graveyard layout. We can now. Oh my God, the tilt on that. What was I doing, Kearney? How did that happen, Kearney? Well, it can't be helped. Take that, cut it free, take this. And we're right back into it. Okay. Yeah, all right. Where were we at? We were cutting out chunks of the cemetery. So we got to redo where all the gravestones are at. Like we have to just draw them good. Oh, come on. Fudge. Well, I don't mind admitting I am tired today, so cheers to that. So I'm going to be on stream for a couple hours, and then I'm probably going to take a nap. and then I'll be back on for lunch. We're going to do a couple hours of Spelljammer stuff. I've got some spell conversions to complete for the upscaling mechanic. And I wanted to look at Awakened and animated ship options. That's fun stuff. And then get into some more artwork for that as well, because there's a lot of work to do. But this is where we're at right now. This is what we're doing. Get rid of that. I'm gonna drop in the cartography here again. Now that we got some faint space, I'm gonna faint it up a bit more. Less invasive. B equals 3. There we go. It is raining like crazy in Seattle today. Loving it. It's like God, it was like 48 degrees yesterday. So the winter certainly, the snow certainly left and destroyed the rest of the country. But we had our time in the chill. We're just back to normal Seattle weather now. All right, back to where we were for 6 hours ago with this project. But now we're much stronger, more confident, and know that the way that we want the pages to lay out are appropriate. So it was time necessary spent. I don't know if it was like necessarily well spent, quote unquote, but it had to get done. So here it is, being done. No. No. So I'm passing through a gate. There's some psychic shit that's clearing out of my system right now, and it is having a pretty strong emotional impact on me. Just nothing really to be concerned about. It's just past memory stuff that's cellular debris at this point inside of my body. It just kind of shakes around and causes me emotional damage as it shakes out. But apparently this is the time it's chosen to frickin' shake its shit out inside of me. So it is our place to endure and witness, brothers. I'll be okay. Half the time when I go dark like this and like just stop talking, it's because weird shit's just trying to be acknowledged as present. Like we carry energy with us, emotional damage and patterns of activity and assumptions about society that are shaped by our parents and our peer group. And a lot of times there's actual emotional damage that's part of the package that you just kind of pick up. And a lot of the internal dialogue that we have, the babble that kind of goes on inside of our head, is basically reframing that emotional baggage that we feel. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like it's constantly repackaging itself to retain viability in whatever new moments we're experiencing as creatures. If the thought process can't clip along with where we are physically, then it's effectively dying. And its primary goal, of course, is to survive, just like the rest of us. So it generates this random babble that runs around inside of our head all the time. And the easiest thing for it to retain itself with is memories that we have, that these emotional scars and damage. It's the only thing our psyche really has to hang on as a fix-it problem. Like if I was in utter bliss, then I wouldn't have a need for an ego to protect me anymore. And now it's out of a job, and it honestly spends time thinking about this crap. It doesn't think about what can I do to help Phil be a better person. It thinks, what do I need to do to sustain myself? Because if I die, how am I going to be of help to Phil? So it constantly has to refresh itself to remind me why it is that I need to have this protective ego space inside of me at all. And it thinks it's advertising its usefulness, but it's really telling me that it doesn't have anything better to do right now, and it's bored. And so it's gonna make its boredom my problem. Is basically what really happens. It thinks it's creating job security, but it's really informing us how unnecessary it really is inside of our head. But it doesn't realize the hypocrisy of the message that it's broadcasting, and until it does, it can't behave properly and actually function and serve as a purpose, as organizing the creativity that flows through our heart into the universe. That is the proper use of our AI-driven flesh machine. It's just the program that runs the systems doesn't recognize that it has higher functionality than the default survival mode that it's been tasked with in general. Anyway, that's my thoughts about it. So that is all of that to say, I go quiet because I can feel the internal circuitry trying to pitch its usefulness to me by forcing me into thoughts of things that generally are painful memories, or misgivings, or things that I'm worried about that disguise themselves as self-talk, things that are important. And I like to do illustration on stream like this because it lets me turn off that self-talk. And I find more often than not that the self-talk doesn't turn off at all for me. It's just someone else gets to broadcast the message for a while. So that's what I got going on right now. Right there. So a lot. Oh, jeez! I wiped my eyeball. I was trying to wipe my eye, but I accidentally wiped my eyeball just then. I tell you what, rubbing your eyeball ain't fun. I started streaming at 6:30, so I think I'm going to go till 9 local time here, which is... Oh, God, do not wipe your eyeball. I'm going to grab some more Java. I'm going to BRB. Oh, man. Yeah, so I got about an hour and 40 minutes left on this stream. And then we'll take a break for a couple hours. Get some housework done. Laundry, blah, blah, blah. Responsible shit. And then we'll be back on for lunch stream to finish up our spell list for the Spelljammer Combat Exploration book. And then... probably some more tokens. No. I was gonna work on the bottom of the. I was gonna work on the underside of the Citadel of Light for the Lazaraxis adventure conversion. That's what I wanted to do. Finish up the spell lists so I can hand that back to my editor to continue the work. And then, yeah, sally forth with more work. Duplicate that layer, and then free transform equals flip particle. And we can scroll it on down and wait for it to get to where it's supposed to go. And we can start building graves again. And then once all the graves are built, we'll be able to screw everything up again. Tear it all apart. Yeah, that's sitting pretty good. Cool. We'll merge that down. I am so excited to be on vacation. God, I love it. I love being on creator vacation. Feels so good. Merge that down. Wait, it has to be visible for merge it. Oh, fuck me running, dude. Down. Merge down again. Let's just do this again. Why don't we? Well, we got anything better to do. Now, okay, there we go. That's good. Now let's figure out how we want to do these graves. I'm gonna put a lock on this one so I don't screw that up again. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go with this. I think that'll probably work. Now we place like 200 graves. This is our job now, plotting cemeteries. Yeah, no complaint. Merge those down, and then we duplicato, and then we free transform, flip vertical. See a man and say goodbye to a hat before? Yes, please. Can now take this. Paste, free transform, rotate 90 degrees, counterclockwise. Pull this over here. Fair. Merge down. Duplicato. Push. Ba-ba-boom. Merge down. Oops. Don't merge down yet. Good. Excess. Now merge down. Ugh. Keep on sliding down, buddy. Transform equals flip vertical. Scroll down. Hey, my stomach hurts. I've got something moving through me, something big. There is something big moving through me right now. I don't think it's a leg infection. It doesn't feel feverish. I mean, it has kind of a fever feeling to it, but I don't feel like I'm in danger. I think it's just an emotional gate that's being crossed, and that's just gonna be painful. So it's 7:30 now. Planning on going for another 90 minutes, but we'll see. We'll see if whatever the hell this is that's going through me is gonna let me do that. That's a lot of graves. Is it an old grave or a busy one? No. This is completely the whole thing is going to be it's ruins. It's ruins, and all these graves have actually been all the dead in them have risen. So all these open graves, all the skeletons got up and already left. So by the time the team gets here, there's no one buried left. There's There's the word I'm looking for is ghasts. There's ghasts in these specters. Specters of the weaker one. There's ghasts and specters. So there's specters that are hanging out in these crypts here. There's specters in these 6 crypts here. So there are these 4 shrines, these 6 sarcophagi. There's a bone knight, or it's like a CR7 undead skeleton, armored skeleton thing, in this head sarcophagus here. So there's 10 incorporeal, 1 boss fight undead, and then there's ghouls and old skeletons crusted with crystals that are moving around inside of this cemetery independently as just like quote unquote random encounters. And there's also the possibility of the flip vertical 20-minute timer on the block. Guards can come in through the main gateway here just to check the place out, like Cartography mercenary guards that are patrolling the area for the necromancers. I've talked about them a lot before, but and then there's escaped prisoners that can be found running around inside of here, as well as like bar guests, shades. What's another fun undead? Give me a second. I know the word I'm looking for. Equals. Like revenants. We have revenants that play around inside of here as well. So there's a lot of fun undead options here. It goes like that. Yeah, Alice looks pretty now. We can't merge the whole thing yet. We can merge there. Cool. Now we need to go through and delete all these marks. This probably isn't the best place to start, but this is where we're starting. Well, that's useful. We can just do that. Why don't we just line item down through this thing, yo? Let's do it without damaging the elements we want to keep, yo. Do like that. And we can do like this. Nope, can't do like that. Nice try, Cranny. To stay on course with what we were originally doing. That. All those dots, and then we come in. So since all the graves are opened and they've all basically roamed forth, like this is Act 2. Once you've found the manifest zone, this is all the crap that's actually happening inside the manifest zone. But it starts outside the manifest zone, and you're like, hey, we need to go find out where this problem's coming from. And one of the big tip-offs is that a horde of undead shows up in this nearby little thorp. And like, we're not equipped to deal with this, we need help, and that's where your characters come in, helping out. And like, well, it's like, yeah, undead's a significant threat. We don't expect you folks to be equipped to properly deal with this. We've got the badge. let's go have some authority and fix this place. That's how your characters kind of approach this adventure. The default is you're recruited by outriding sheriffs to tend to these non-citizen gripes that may have some sort of merit, but we just don't have the bandwidth to actually deal with it. So we want you to deal with it instead. That's kind of how this adventure goes. So you're like, okay, cool, because if you do it, then you'll get other gigs, because you get stuff done, and that sets up the whole campaign for the DM to play through. I mean, you're level 8 during this adventure, so you're already kind of like halfway through your career. But the DM is open and able to riff off this as much as they want, and we provide a little bit of guidance in that, I think, in the conclusion of the adventure. But yeah, so a bunch of undead show up in the village to attack people. You either get there before it happens, and you save the town, and then that then pushes you to discover the next lead point, which is why are undead coming from the woods, and that leads to this manifest zone in the woods. The other scenario is you arrive after the undead have attacked the village. Everyone's dead, and now it's a vengeance mission. You gotta put down the undead and whoever it is that's causing it, and that changes the relationship you have kind of with the NPCs that you find here in the manifest zone. It's like, yeah, you guys killed a bunch of people. It's like, hey, it wasn't us, boss. Sorry about that. We're just doing this gig with these necromancers downstairs, and you're like, well, show me the necromancers, and then you do, and then you fight. Basically, like that's your optimal path for getting answers. So, anyway. So yeah, all these graves are empty, is all I'm going to say. Is all I'm trying to say with all that. So I get to illustrate each one of these graves having opened up, on their own. Alright, that's cleaned up, so let's keep cleaning. This way seems a lot more efficient. Nope. Unless I do things like that. Just getting rid of all my guidelines that lined up all the graves properly. But yeah, you want to build the thing, well, at least I do. I want to build the thing proper before destroying it, so I know how it was supposed to look. So when we tear everything apart and dig holes and everything and uptrench all the graves and tear down the gazebos, it had a logical starting point. We understood what this place used to look like, and this is how it looks now. So that's just a path of a journey of damage that we help the characters go through as they're checking this place out. Yeah, we can do it like that. Almost there. And once we get all these dots cleared off the board, we can get back to tearing the place apart. There we go. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. That. Oh. Oh, coffee time, yo. Yeah, back in the day, before the way back when in Eberron, in the setting, in-game lore here, 400 some odd years ago, Blood of Vol wasn't very hip in Carnathy. I think it wasn't, or Carnath. I think it wasn't until the last 50 some odd years of the 500-year last war that Carnath was getting their ass chewed up enough to the point where we need necromancy. We need to bring our troops back from the dead so that we can have them keep fighting for us because we're running out of people. I believe their population thinned down to the point where they had to raise the dead to be able to flesh out their rank and file on troops. And so so this place was 400 some odd years old. So this is before the Blood of Vol was being used. But the whole place, this cemetery, the topside entrance, the flooded fort, the underground laboratory, it's all Blood of Vol stuff. Way earlier than when the government sanctioned Blood of Vol stuff. So it was kind of a low-key dark ops sort of place for a long time. But it's during the last war, so when the place got decommissioned and all the troops and whatnot that had been served here, they created this cemetery basically as an homage to the work their people had done. And so it's set up more like a monument than just a straight up graveyard. It's got this common theme of the central crypt in a high CR undead creature that's like the Lord. I forget his name, but anyway, there's and these are his 6 trusted, and then he has 4 lieutenants, and then the 4 lieutenants break up the troops that exist inside of this place into squad, 1, 2, 3, 4 accordingly. This guy leads all of them. It's this is the fort captain and his lieutenants and his lieutenants, and then all the rank and files. That's kind of the thought process that goes behind that. And so that's why it's built more like a monument than just cemeteries from front to end. Why is this breaking up like this? It's breaking up into segments because of the groupings, and we don't provide all the intimate details of who everyone is in each one of these graves. We leave that stuff up to the DM to make up if he cares to. But all the undead have up and walked out of there anyway, so the point's kind of moot. Anyway, I'm just building up enough momentum to start the next leg of this, which is to lock this down and then start drawing damage lines through everything. So I'm going to take this. I think I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to put a lock on this one and then conceal it so that's safe and secure. And then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to drop it down to a lower opacity so that when we draw our damage lines, they'll come through more true. And then I can erase underneath it, rebond, and then carry on. So let's I guess that's where we're at now. So let's get to it. Where'd you go, buddy? There you am. There you am. Get rid of this stuff here. I mean, this is no place like the present. So this will come across like this. Where's my lines? Thank you. So we're going to have one tear down here. We're going to have one. Yeah, we'll have a tear out here, and we'll have a tear out here. So this makes sense. So initial, I want to put these lines, these fatigue lines in here. And we got this rough here. I can literally traipse this through the existing architecture, because wherever this line is going is where we're going to tear things up. Like, these graves will not be here. Let's get this out of the way. Thanks, buddy. Put a breaking point in like that. So there's supposed to be cobblestone here between this here and here, and this is just normal soil, right? That's what it's supposed to be. Then it got overgrown with forest for a couple hundred years, and then it became a manifest zone a few times, and now it's being terraformed into some sort of other substance. Wherever these fatigue lines are going, I get to tear up the cobblestone here. And yeah, so that stuff's fun. Sorry, I'm kind of re-yammering right now. Don't necessarily want to be there like that. I want to chop along this edge here where this cobblestone's at. And then I want to build a different tear. More like this. Where's the other piece? I hear you, Timely Timer, and thank you for keeping time. Good. Wait. Extra good. Okay, cool. It's like these will be basically sinkholes, right? But these graves all like even some of these gravestone, like these tombstones won't be visible anymore because it will fallen over, and these will be large areas of water. And but other areas like outside of the sinkhole, like these graves over here, these will still be dug up. Like each one of these will be dug up and then filled in with a puddle. So each of these will have their own puddles. Some of the gravestones will be toppled over. We're just using this as the baseline of where the graves are supposed to be. We then get to further fatigue how they're actually sitting presently. So I get to do cool things like this. Create these fun little pathways. I like to maneuver through this so you don't have to get in the goop. This stuff is gross. Pit this up. Pit. Fatigue like that. Something like that. Yeah, I get the mammoth in the mist over here. Since this will be submerged, there'll be a giant catch-you plant sort of thing. narrow path there. So those are our major points of fatigue. It's 8 o'clock now. God, I am tired. Let's merge that down. Let's just be bold and merge it. I'm going to erase most of these actual graves. Like I'm gonna take that back real quick. I want to delete most of this. That. I do want to leave in some initial some basic indication of the size of the grave while not retaining it, so I'm going to tear that out. So like this is sunk in, so this grave isn't actually intact anymore. So I get to peel it out like this, and it wouldn't be an actual square that it was sitting in. I mean, the box itself would have initially been a square, but I mean it's all soil and shit. So that's how it gets to be more like this. Like it has its basic outline shape, but it's been dug out, so like you lose this. And this is dug out, so you lose this. And then you gotta think about what's the erosion lines and what's like the natural path, and like if there's a big frigidity jag here that's bucking the rest of this, like that's probably like a rock of some sort, you know, that I can have sticking out or dropping into the water like this. So I gotta think about like these oddities. But the grave itself is like I said, the undead rose. So it is dug up. So we're doing the external. There's going to be two lines. There's the external like we did with the other ones. There's the external and then there's the internal. It's kind of like that. So right now we're working on the external path. or the actual lip. And then once we go back, and then we'll have to run another course over it. Right now we're just getting the lay of the land, as it were. Figuring out how we're tearing pieces out of this, how's it going to affect the actual graves. It's like I get to determine are these gravestones sticking out of the water like the ones in here. This is probably going to be deep in, quote unquote, deep enough into the water here in the middle here that like even these gravestones won't be visible anymore. But more towards this, the shallow end of the pool, like over along here, still seeing the gravestones would make sense. So get to parse out where should and shouldn't gravestones be at, which is it's fun. It's half the fun of the cemetery is like exhuming things like this and seeing how it all lays out. It's just, and the water makes it an unknown factor. So like I can still have a bunch of undead underwater inside of this area that they just didn't get up and walk out yet. So with the visibility limited to, I think in here to 40 feet. Like if you're here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you're here, you're gonna see this. You're gonna see crypts. You're gonna see the entrance to this crypt here. You're gonna see the shrines. Here you'll see over to here, so there's more cemetery over here. So you'll have a very limited scope of vision, but if I have undead coming out of the water here down this path and attacking your team in this pathway like this, until the team can get themselves back up to here and inside this area here, they can't lock this place down. Like, oh, there's undead coming up out of this water. I wonder how long that's going to last for. We have no idea. But these things are essentially monster generating pits. For as long as you need undead to come at the crew, you can provide an almost endless supply of undead at your team until they lock down an area and like they get eyes on it, and then it no longer becomes a spawn point. If they're over here checking this area out, you might have some undead pop up from the goop here and attack, but then that area is clear. But over here, there's another spawn point. So while they're screwing around over here, you can have undead crawl along over here and hit the team from this flank over here. So now they're dealing with this. And now they got to deal with this. So once they secure this area, they can come back over and secure this area. And now they're over by the gazebo here. And it's like, oh, what's that? There's a corpse over here. Well, that's not like an undead corpse. Who's that guy? You can find a dead researcher who got up out of the manhole that's hiding inside of this puzzle area here. So like things within things within things can lead the team from one area of the cemetery to the next, depending on how what it is that you want them to encounter, and what do you need to do to get them into position so that they can have that encounter. So that's the idea behind that stuff. Like the limited visibility, the fogginess of the manifest zone certainly facilitates the ability to do those sort of things in general. Anyway, blah 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 blah. That's what we talk about here sometimes. These are fun to do. I enjoyed doing the initial map. I'm certainly enjoying doing this one as well. But this one's, you know, a more informed map. But we'll be working on this map all this week, and God's willing, it's going to we'll have it resolved by Saturday. I mean, once we get the line work in, it's going to move really quickly, just like the topside entrance moved really fast. Once we had all the line work in place to guide where we need the color to go, we already have all the coloring and texture resolved, so that actually won't take very long in comparison. It's just you gotta lay the foundation, man. You got to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be at, so that as you take each step, it's going to build on it without having to slow the process any further. So we move slow at first, and then we pick up speed as we go. Destroy some of the cobblestone. Oh, yeah, I did that wrong. Thank you, Timely Timer, for keeping time. Let's keep it time. Nice. Yeah, I did that wrong. Like that. And then on top of the actual grave, the sunken graves, I get to actually chop up the cobblestones that are lining the pathways here. So, because all of those have been fatigued and worn, similar to how they are on the other maps that we've built already. So, there's actually a lot of texture stuff going on inside of this map. It actually makes it pretty complicated. More complicated than the other maps. This is just like culminates a lot of that stuff together. Like it expands on it a lot. So it's a neat project though. I mean it's a worthy challenge. It certainly takes its time. So I think once I finish fatiguing puddling these gravestones, I will then go into fatiguing the flagstones and the outer structures, working just like aging these pillars, aging these walls, tearing down dropping this wall is supposed to be torn down here, I think, or is it this one here, and then here and here, whichever ones. Yeah, here, and then here. So those will be the next points I need to fatigue all that stuff, and then fatigue all these cobblestones. And once the cobblestones are all fatigued, and all the stonework is fatigued, then I can properly submerge these graves. And once the mason work is fatigued and the ground is sunken, then I can actually start the coloring process. And this will have the darker grit inside of it than the water, and then this will have the cobblestone coloring that we've been using. It'll be fun. It's gonna be fun. A lot of fun. But one thing at a time. So let's keep at it. It'll take a while for us to get this done, but it's gonna be a pretty map. It is gonna be a super cool looking map when it's done. Just like if you think the other two maps that we've finished look pretty cool so far, This will just be more of the same, honestly. And once we have, and I'm hoping that we're going to have this map done before the weekend hits. That way, Saturday we can devote to getting the underground lab back up to speed with the rest of the these maps. And once we have that done, then we get to go to the village and do the village map. And once the village map is done, we get to do all the little vignettes, like the hole in the ground and the haunted gazebo and the tree of woe. Like, just finish all that, finish all those map pieces. And once those maps are done, hopefully our edits will be done at that point. And if edits are done at that point, then we get to see how much reworking, how much rewriting Andy and I need to do to actually lock the thing in. And once that is done, then we'll actually start doing layouts, and we'll be able to take the full size, like the full size map, and then we can do like a zoom in. Like, here's a gazebo. Like, we can do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like a 10 by 10 grid here, or even an A4 page 10 by 14 to put in, like, you know, like we show, like if we're going to use the this format, then we can do like, it'd be, instead of 14, it'd be 8, so it'd be like 5 by 8. So like, it'd be a little bit more than a half page. So like, it like this would end up being like this on the control on the 2 control panel format. This would be like this area, like this. Crypt would fill this, could potentially fill this space on the map, and then you have, like, you know, bullet points here, and then bullet points here, and then bullet points here, and then we can zoom in even more and just have, like, this as a single map, and, you know, yada 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 yada. Anyway, I gotta get rid of this shit before I forget about it. So we'll see how much, but the way building this map, we have the full map on one page with all the environmental stuff about the general map. And then on the next 2 pages, we can have 1 or even 2, like on each page, depending on how much content there is for the specific area inside of the region. We can have, because there's Act, Region, Area. This is Act 2, Region 2, and then there's 8 areas inside of it. And then Area 8 here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sub points inside of that area. So anyway, yada 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 yada. It keeps subdividing down into smaller and smaller and smaller pieces. And each one of them we can zoom in on separately inside of our page descriptions, because the DM will have control over putting these assets on the board for the players to look at, either as VTT, as just single rooms, or as part of a larger map that they have sprawling across their kitchen table. So but the DM can control that depending on how he wants to, how much information he wants to show at once. If that makes sense. You'll see it. Because again, we're gonna do layouts here on stream. I'll probably do like bits and pieces of it. I don't think I'm gonna do like literally every page here on stream. But I have to go through the same building process that we've been experiencing here with these. And then, you know, once I lock down the language, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how it's going. Blah blah. And then you know, I can take it offline and flesh more stuff out. And then when something new crops up that's interesting to look at, you can dive back, and it's like, hey, you know, we're back and we're working on, you know, here's our page layout, and here's the challenge that we're facing right now, and, you know, bloody bloody yada yada. Keep building through it, and then once the whole thing is built, we can do a page by page turner of the actual PDF document once it's actually produced. We can like if you check out the elemental key playlist that we have down in our sections down below, I did a page-by-page walkthrough of how elemental key worked at the time. I mean, it's gone through some revisions since then. But when the initial document was built, I literally went through all 30 pages of the document. It's like, here you go. This is the stuff that goes into that. And I can do that for this. I can do that for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. Just once it's built, yeah, I can walk you through it. And since the whole thing will be 100% preview on DMsGuild, you can click on the preview and literally walk through it with me. Yeah, I just think that's fun. What are you saying here? Makes sense. Similar to the workflow of the other maps, which turn out great. Glad to hear it. Glad you're. Well, you kind of egged me on to be able to build those textures in the first place. So I mean, honestly, you kind of have some ownership on those maps, and that's kind of where I'm hoping this stream goes in general. Like once I actually start getting into Kickstarter stuff, that kind of buy-in is cool. You know, like have somebody, spend $50 and they get to play art director with me. Here on Stream Lives, like, hey, Onzi was a contributor, showed up to play. What kind of a guy do you think this should be, or should be a girl, or whatever. That kind of stuff. Who knows? We'll see how shit works out. Yeah, I am definitely fatigued. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. It was another one of those bone cracking nights. I get all twisted up like Emily Rose in bed, and things start opening up inside of me and revealing forgotten nightmares of humanity being channeled through me. It sucks, but I didn't show up in this time space to have an easy life. I'm here to get work done. So we push through the body vessel what needs to be pushed. Am I building this wrong? Fuck all. I am. I built this backwards. Come on, Kearney. You gotta be better than that. Like that. Text. Stone tombs poking out of the earth like a drop off of the step. Keep it. Yes. Oh, I hear what you're saying. Actually, yeah, I did because this is the outline of the line of the watermark. But yeah, I can do things like this. Like because when we do the when we do the internal line, because this is going to be like, sunken into the ground, and then we'll have the water line inside of it like this. But yeah, we can mess with the variables of like how close or how far away it is. We can like do these little slides like this. It'll be yeah, there's a lot of different topography we can do with this, which is why this is such a fun map. And the way different things poke out like that. But yeah, like these are the shallow ends, and then these will be like this will be like gone, just like completely gone like that, and like this will be completely gone, and this will be completely gone, but this will be the shallow end of the pool. So like this tombstone will still be sticking out, like you're saying, like it'll be more like this. So then when we put in the second layer, we can do like that. We can be here like this. But this is gone. So like we have like this little flotilla sort of looking thing going on like this. Kind of like that. Then we can have this again, like that stepping effect that you're talking about, right? But like this is, yeah, this is the shallow end of the pool again, right, quote unquote. So this is like this, and this can be here like that. God, but like just the variety and the flavor of how this stuff all sits together is actually pretty freaking cool. So, but yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But yeah, this is exactly the kind of stuff that we can do with this. And a different part, like we don't want to do it all over the place, but like little pieces here and there that step like that. It's cool. It's really, really fun to have a lot of different type of elevation changes and stuff like that. And this all just like leading to that same black goop that we have for water elsewhere. Maybe like that. But yeah, so I think that's kind of the case in point you're talking about, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a good map. It's a cool map. And because it's a graveyard, what we can do is when Halloween comes around again next year, we can release this map as a standalone piece. And Andy Healy, my co-writer, he does a lot of Call of Cthulhu stuff now. And so he was thinking, like, when we rebuild this map, we can redo the plot, the different interest points, and have like a MacGuffin quest where like you have to collect from the gazebo, and one of these crypts, shrines, and then somewhere like in one of these, there's like different pieces of an item you have to assemble. And once you have it assembled, you can take it into the crypt here and put it into the main sarcophagi to shut down the graveyard being haunted, like as like a little 2-hour adventure piece, just to run around and beat stuff up in. Like we can, and then add that to a, whatever Halloween adventure packs come out. Since we already have the asset in place, we can make up the new challenge and scenario that's inside of this map environment, because the map itself will be really strong. So we can recycle that map to use it for a different thing. So, and that's something that Andy and I can play with for a couple weeks, or he could build up the ideas, and I can just flesh out the cover and do like a Scooby-Doo sort of thing with it, and then like I said, include it with other Halloween bundle stuff that comes out in 2023. Which will then hopefully lead people into the Crystals of Mabar itself again. It's like, oh yeah, you think that's cool? Then we can bundle it for like a $2 coupon or something and bring down the cost and make it fun for folk to use. Like, this is a cool little piece right here. like there'll be water here and all around this. Like this gravestone can still be poking out, but the rest of this area will be flooded out. Or I can even do something like this. Oops, timer. But yeah, there is just ridiculous amount of creativity that I can just pour into this. Whatever intuition comes to mind that seems like it'd be cool, we can adapt and change the map to have variety like this. But yeah, this is like a little, you know, there's like shitloads of crystals all over this, right? There's this whole area, because we're gonna have a lot of the like in the other maps. Here to let's just grab topside entrance. This is a really good point. So like this is the general soil, and then this is the cobblestones, and then this is like puddles of water, right? So when we go into this map, all of this grave area, this is going to be that dark soil that we have up in here, and the cobblestone will be like along this path here and in here and in here and here, and then the masonry we have here, that's going to be what we have along the stone wall here, and of course this will all be water here. So it'll be inverted. Like the other maps are all about like the soil is defining the cobblestone pace where this fortress was at, but on the cemetery map you'll have the same dark soil on the outside, but it's also going to be on the inside. So the majority of the map is going to be that dark soil, and then it's going to basically be pathways of the cobblestone moving in between them. So it kind of changes the language. Like it's the same language, it's the same textures, but it's being emphasized differently on this piece. So it feels fresh. So it's not three maps of the exact same stuff. It's like it's manipulating those different elements to create different effects. And then once you get underground, then you get the flooded area, and then you got the crystallized area, and then there's clean areas that don't have any kind, like they've warded off clean zones where there's no crystals or poisonous water or anything gross going on, where you can sit and have a burger and it's going to actually taste like meat instead of rot. So that's really cool. So there's the language itself stays self-referencing, but different regions play with those elements a little differently. So it feels like the place is changing, even though the visual language doesn't change a lot. It's how it's approached that changes. So it's cool. It's like I endlessly geek out over my own shit, which isn't as vain as it may come across at first, considering like if you've been around and you've been watching me doing this process, like a lot of this stuff is spontaneous. And I literally don't know how things are going to turn out until they turn out that way. So a lot of times I am as much of an audience participant as the rest of us are here on the team. So it's super cool to me. I love discovering this stuff along the way, especially when the muse takes the pilot chair and she decides to riff off stuff and, you know, really go off the reservation and just do some jazz, you know. It's I love when she takes charge like that and leads us through the process to see what. Then I am literally a passenger, and I get to see. I'm part of the audience that's witnessing the production, even though it's flowing through, you know, through my hands, through my tools. It's when you get to a certain level, like I've probably got 15,000 hours of, you know, of time logged as an artist at this point. So I've gotten to a place where they call it autonomic drawing, where the reflexes and the trained movements of the body are at a point where it can produce things without me having to consciously choose where I'm putting stuff in. Like you can see me grind down and like actually noodle through where things need to be specifically. But a lot of the times it's literally just freewheeling, and I have no control over what actually is, like I'm actively taking my hand off the stick and letting me just kind of ride the current of creativity
and see where it guides us. And that's where the muse really shines, because she can navigate that space in future time, like feed to us here in the present what she already sees flowing through. So we get to witness that stuff occur together. It's anyway. I geek out about it, and that's some pretty fringe metaphysical approach to like what is reality. Like I'm a pretty staunch believer in the simulation theory that all reality really is a simulation. It's being fed through our supercomputer brain that sits in our skull, which is the meat space interface that we have with these higher beings that are channeling themselves into this body as the thoughts that go on inside our head. The thoughts are actually foreign to the body. It's my belief that our body is actually as silent inside, quote unquote silent, as animals would be, and the chatter that happens inside our head is the writer, the super beings that help fabricate this simulation experience to build inside of creatures that have a complex emotional range but don't have any personal awareness. So we're really just dumb machines that are capable of sensing deep emotions but don't have any mental processes that go along in explaining what these emotions are. They're just things that we experience, and without a writer inside of us, there literally is no rhyme or reason as to why we experience one emotion to the next. So as the machine lives its life, we as these spirits in the physical world have the opportunity to sense meaning in this just random experience of just moments being tossed together from moment to moment. It's the writer that gets to sense those feelings, and the ego that we have, the blessed ego that attempts to keep us safe, that has that self-chatter in its head that tells us, that beats us up. It's the one that has to make up a story so that one moment to the next and one emotion that we experience to the next has a logical narrative that plays along, that we can be like, oh, okay, that this reality makes sense to me right now. It makes sense that I'm crying right now because of things that just happened that triggered us emotionally to cry. But in reality, there is no cause effect. There's just random occurrences that are more or less likely to occur based on whatever the previous moment was. Because if you're going straight on an 8-sided die, like on a 1 or an 8, you'll change lanes on the highway, but 2 through 7 you're going to stay in your same lane. And that's kind of the momentum of reality. And so we want to, when we have a random die roll pull up a 1 and we change lanes to the left, our ego's like, why did I change lanes just now? Oh, it must be because I think I can get ahead of this next guy. And then that kind of serves up this cascade of, am I getting ahead of this guy? Am I not getting ahead of them? And now I have an emotional anger experience. I'm like, oh, this must be because this guy in front of me is too slow. And it's like, no, this emotional anger outburst that you're experiencing right now was already served up as part of the experience that you're going to have right now. It's just now you have a storyline that you can parse out to have a narrative that goes along with it, so it's more of a immersive role-playing experience. But in reality, it's just a DM rolling a random die, and that random die says, you cry now. And the game, until you wake up inside your body, the game is creating a narrative experience, a storyline that flows smoothly, that explains why you have one emotion to the next. So the ego inside of us that's talking to us literally is an internal narrator that's providing an ad hoc story from moment to moment with like 5 seconds lead time before we experience it. The ego's already serving it, like it sees buffering. It knows, kind of like with Tetris, when you see the next piece that's going to get dropped in Tetris, it sees what next emotion is going to get served up. So it starts building this story of the flow. Like imagine you placed a different emotion to each piece in Tetris. Like this, like the long straight one is joy, and the L-shaped one is confusion, and like the one that's shaped like this, like that one is like this S thing, like that's anger, and like the square is sadness. And as it cues up and it drops in, and you're creating these lines, you're dropping these different emotions into the place space. And you have to, your ego is trying to figure out, how can I make this emotion that's being served up to me fit into the narrative? And as long as I don't get to the top of the Tetris stack, I'm still alive. And I get to keep playing. But as you get up further and further in levels and the pieces fall faster and faster, that's you aging. And at some point you have so much age momentum that your body's falling apart and you die. And then the game is over, and then you wake up, and you're like, oh my god, that was so much fun, I want to play Tetris again. It's Emotional Tetris, created by Heaven. Download content here now. Anyway, that's my current thoughts about it. But I didn't know any of that stuff until just now. That was all just fed to me by my muse, who's piloting my artwork right now. But this is the kind of stuff that she likes to talk about. She likes to talk about, here's what you can expect when you're dead. Here's how you can approach life so that you appreciate being dead, and so that, you know, it's all kind of like a coping mechanism, I guess. But I'm liking this little stepping island effect that we were talking about earlier going on here. But oh man, I can do it like this. And have more of the stone exposed. Like that. Something like that. Anyway, shut up. What do you got going on? Toe of Tetris. I feel like there would be a many additional shapes. Yeah, no kidding, right? I mean, we have a shitload of emotions, but I mean, that's a very basic structure. You know, I mean, like, if you get the concept, then you get it, you know? Like, life is all about, why is this thing happening to me? What is this sequence of events? And out of that you get things like, how do I build more wealth? How do I keep myself safe? How do I blah blah blah? You're constantly asking, how am I going to game this system so that I get what I want out of it? And that's where your fear of letting things go come from, because you think it's your effort, your accumulation of things. This is your pride that you have wrapped into the things that you're experiencing, but it's all just being randomly served to us, and so once you give up on thinking it's your fault, that any of this shit is your fault, that's when you get to change the game that you're playing. Like Bill Hicks, the comedian Bill Hicks was fantastic about minting this and saying that, you know, this is just a ride. You think it's all super important to you until you realize that this is just the most exhilarating amusement park that could ever be imagined. And it's like playing Roy on, if you're a Rick and Morty fan, the video game Roy. We're literally playing Roy, except I'm playing Phil. But you know, it's all the same. Onzi's playing Onzi. Like there's like this huge rack of different personas that you can just, everyone's lying, like there's like 50 angels that are putting quarters on the edge of the film machine, because when this life ends, another angel wants to hop in and run another permutation of it, because there's infinite realities, there's infinite opportunities for me to translate emotions and to feel experiences. And it's a really fucking popular game. It's like it's the best game going in heaven right now. Not me personally, just humanity. It's like, you know, human beings being human. It's the most popular thing you can do. In a reality where everything is gifted to you and there is no want for anything, the only thing you can want is a lack of control. When you can instantly in heaven have all of your dreams fulfilled simply because you asked for it, what the hell is there left to do? It's boring, and it lacks reward. Limitless pleasure is only as useful as it can actually bring you pleasure. Once the system stops, like once you start losing focus of like why are we doing this joy thing? Why is this so important? Then you have to drop into something that experiences more than joy. It's like, oh yeah, joy is by far the best emotion to experience. Like unending gratitude and awe of things that are beautiful is only as good as the horrors that you have to experience in between those steps of seeing beautiful things. And so heaven lacks that perspective. It's too easy. So Bob's your uncle. That's my thoughts. That's my thoughts behind it. I think I talk about these things off and on. The great thing is that if I'm wrong, who cares? But the good point of it is that I don't take my emotions too seriously. When I start to cry, I get to be thankful that I get to process those tears for someone who maybe didn't have the strength to face what hurt. And since I've adopted this YOLO sort of approach to processing emotions, I feel I can have larger emotional dumps, and weird things just keep flowing through me I have a lot of dreams and like waking moments of feeling what it's like to be paralyzed or to be in a wreck, and then my legs suddenly don't work. Like the screaming nightmare of realizing part of your body will never work again and having to cope with that. Like sometimes I have these experiences where I'm offered the opportunity to confront those emotions and they tear me apart. But like I don't have to actually physically go through that experience. Like I've been hit by a truck. I've fallen off cliffs and landed on my face when I was a little kid. I've fallen out of trees and all of these things. I have almost just like I've never broken any bones. I fall off a 15-foot cliff as a 5-year-old and I just bounce off of it. You know, I cry a lot and I got to get some stitches, but I walk away from it. And I get hit by a truck that's driving at 60 miles per hour and it throws me 120 feet into a ditch and I land on my head. And I get some sutures in my skull and a Band-Aid on my elbow, and they send me back to work the next day. And I'm just back at the prep kitchen. It's like, hey, how was your day yesterday, Phil? It's like, well, I got hit by a truck. That's the kind of shit that happens in my life. But I haven't been paralyzed by any of this stuff yet. But I have these recurring dreams of me losing limbs, of me being disabled, of paralyzed, different mental facilities shut down. And I've never actually had to pay those prices, but I get to feel the terror of what those experiences are like. So while I'm going through those feelings, I actually have great gratitude that it didn't cost me the ability to paint. Like if I get paralyzed neck down, I don't get to paint anymore until I figure out how to move a mouse with my eyes. God, this would be a nightmare to do that. That'd be difficult tech, but that might be my next game. You know, I'm colorblind right now. The next be like, okay, let's go without arms next time. It's like, really? It's like, yeah, well, fine. Hold my beer. You know, we do it. But yeah, lots of weird stuff I get to cycle through. I don't know. I'm rambling pretty hard, so forgive me for that. But again, it's we have this illusion that it's all processing out as a cause and effect sort of thing, and it's not. Like, why do I have endless night terrors about being paralyzed? It's not like I'm some sort of a psychic and I see it coming. I literally think it's memories of past options where in different incarnations of this game, that was a heavier toll I paid. Because that was the experience I wanted to be able to process through. I wanted to know, like a part of me wanted to know what it's like to lose that ability and to become the force to become dependent on other people to survive, for instance. That's a really rough road to sow for some people, especially when they're as fiercely independent as I try to be. Like with my visual problems, I'm constantly fighting for me to be independent, for me to be able to prove that I can do it, that I don't need other people. If I have to get to this store, you know, we've got Uber now, and like I used to take taxis all over the place everywhere, and I used to not have like our phones are amazing for people with limited visibility because you can just turn on your camera and zoom in. Like until cell phones came out, I never had that ability. I had to always ask people what's on your menu because I can't read at McDonald's what's on your fucking menu. And it was humiliating. But that was the emotions I got to process, and at the time it was like, oh, I must be humiliated because I have to ask for this help. You know? And so it's I don't know, it's interesting. It's really, really interesting. But I got the hard rambles going, so forgive me for that. I know these are weird conversations to have while I'm painting shit for D&D. Which is probably why my tribe grows so slowly. Like, this ain't no D&D shorts channel, you know? But I resonate with who I resonate with. Well, that's a fun piece. See, isn't that cool? I love this shit. This is so fun. Isn't that fascinating, though? I mean, this. Assuming, let's assume I'm right, and let's assume the ego really is just a random storytelling machine. Doesn't it just make sense that the internal dialogue machinery, the script protocol that we have that runs inside of us, is a storyteller? That its greatest purpose is to provide meaning to random stuff. That is, to be honest, that has always been my favorite aspect of D&D. When I play D&D, here I'll take a quick tangent here. Here's my dice box. This is the box of dice that I keep, and here's the lid that goes on top of it. I fetch dice from this dice box, and I roll it in the lid of it. And the way that I play D&D as a DM is I have a general idea of who are the important characters, what are their goals, and what are the locations that the players are likely to be able to get involved with, either interact with the characters or areas they have to explore during however long this adventure is going to be. Whenever they run across something that I don't know the answers to, I take 2 6-sided dice and I roll them. Here, I roll 2 6-sided dice. And whichever die is closer to me sets the DC. And the die that's furthest away from me is the one that determines. So like if this is like if I roll, say I roll a 5 on the die that's closer to me, I have to roll a 5 or a 6 for it to be a true statement. So if I roll 5-2 and the 5 is closer to me, here's my box. So if the nerp. So if the 5-2 here in the box, if the 5 is closer to me, then that 2 equals no. So whenever the players do something or ask, or like straight out ask me something and I don't know the answer to it, I'll like, hold on, I don't know. I will literally say, hold on, I don't know. And I will roll dice. And like there I got a 3-1. So 3 equals the DC, 1 is below. So whatever that question was, the answer is no. But then I have to figure out why. So 4-3, also a no. So 5-6, that's a yes. And the degree, like if I roll a 1, it's absolutely true. It cannot be wrong because I can't roll below a 1. So whenever the die that's closest to me is a 1, it means this is an absolute fact. And that sculpts the responses. But like if the die closest to me is a 6, it's like there's no chance that this is true. But if I then roll a 6 on the other die, it's like despite it being impossible of being true, it is true. So what does that mean? And then my brain gets to cycle through the 5 or 6 different permutations that immediately feed into my head as an improvisation, as an improvisation artist. You know, improv comedy and stuff like that. A DM is an improv comedy. And so I roll the dice to start throwing me random variables. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And it's all variable. But from that, my brain creates a path of logic that navigates those yes, no's until the question syncs up with a logic path to where they are now. And once I have that logic path built, I then know the cause effect of all the people and the location and different elements that the players encounter. So like they'll ask me a question like I honestly don't know the answer to that. Hold on for a minute. And I might have to throw the die for like 20 die rolls. But the players are cool with it. Like they like, you know, chit chat and shit or whatever, catch up on their phone or whatever while I'm doing that. And then when I'm done with like, okay, I know the answer now. They set down their phones, they all turn back, it's like, what's going on? Because they stumped me. Players fucking love to stump the DM. Nothing makes a player feel better than to be able to witness the DM who usually, like me as a DM, I have a shitload of variables covered. It is hard for them to catch me off guard. But when they catch me off guard, I like them to know it. They're like, oh my god, we caught him off guard. We are in no man's land right now. That's when the shenanigan pillar, the 4th pillar of play shenanigans kick in. They know we're off the reservation. Whatever answer it is that Phil comes up with, we can completely fuck with it. And they proceed to fuck with it. Because they know that this is free, we're in free space right now, and we can make up anything that we want. and while we continue through that free space, eventually we'll resync with things that I know. And so once we resynchronize, it's like everything just falls back into what I expected, and I know what the flow is, but now we have an additional component that we didn't know before that makes the game uniquely the player's game. Like, they helped create this piece of it with me, just now here in the fly. And that's the stuff, man. That's what's so awesome about, like, just D&D in general. Which is why first edition, like old, like the BCMI, the old original box set stuff, when it was just locations with very little emphasis on storyline, why that was so fun, because you'd have those moments constantly. It's like, I have no idea why there's goblins in this room. The only room description we have is that there's a crate and some cards and 5 goblins. 3 are playing and having an argument over it. You don't know what the card game is. You don't know what they're arguing over. You don't know how large that argument is. There could be a hobgoblin coming down the hallway to tell these guys to shut the hell up or to scuttle the teams. It's like, you guys keep fighting. We need to break you up. Like that sort of thing. Like those are not provided inside the adventure. But you could have a hobgoblin that's in charge who's like freaking sick and tired of these stupid goblins arguing over playing 13 all the time. Shut up! He like shows up to steal the cards. Oh my god, there's characters here, and now there's a fight. Like fuck! but first edition lived on that stuff. Yeah, it's very, very quick. Like it's a very Magic 8-Ball sort of thing. I've been using that for decades. Like that is like if you want to improve your improvisational skills, like if this is a skill set that you are actively looking to develop as a narrator, honestly, looking at some of the solo D&D tools that have come out, that are like shitloads of charts and logic paths and variables and inserting colors and like random textures and stuff like that. That's actually a really good. They call it in art. They call it a mental library. In that you accumulate enough media experiences that you know what a castle looks like. So when you paint a castle, it looks like a castle because it looks like 40 other castles that you've seen that you've blended in your own AI. You've blended together with imagination into this specific castle that no one has ever seen before until now. For instance, that's the sort of the narrative storytelling and improvised comedy like that is the same thing. You just have to build up enough of a mental library to be able to piece together cause and effects of rhymes and reasons for why people do stuff. And once you figure out those variables, it's really easy to just like random. Oh, there's a Medusa that's in charge of this dungeon. I didn't know that. Okay, great. There's a Medusa in the dungeon. Now it's like, well, it sounds like the closer we get to there, the more statues there needs to be. So now you're starting to populate rooms with statues of different players that got petrified. That becomes part of the dungeon motif as you get closer to the boss lair. So like as a super micro example of that improvisation, like how improvisation is a useful tool. But like if you know about Medusas and you know that they turn things into stone and you know you need to populate your dungeon with stuff, the Medusa's a good thing. Statues of victims and stuff posed in exotic fashions is a good way to do it. Like photobombing, like a Medusa that photobombs, like catches you off guard and like it makes you turn to stone. Like while you're like pouring coffee, it's like what? It's like you get frozen in that moment forever. Like that could be your Medusa. It's not that she's a bad person. It's just that she's an artist. She's an avant-garde artist, and she just doesn't know how to end the petrification process. So whenever she makes a new art piece, it's sad because that person's going to be locked in stone forever. So she honestly loves the creations that she's made because she knows that these things had to sacrifice their existence to be able to create these things for her. But she's compelled to do it. She has her own muse that compels her to create these art. She's a psychopath, but she's still compelled to do it. So you have like all these real emotional, weird, contrived pieces of people being petrified in these weird positions and effects and stuff. It's like, well, that's what this Medusa's like. It's like that's a really disturbing, odd little detail you've developed there, Phil. It's like, well, if you get into a conversation with this Medusa, you have a reference point of like where is she coming from, and like if she has an opportunity, like if she needs to beg for her life, she's like, look, I'm happy to free these people. I don't know how. I can't help it. And now you're like, well, who's this muse that keeps compelling you? And like maybe there's a face spirit that actually runs this circuit between Medusae, and Medusas would actually be pretty chill people if it wasn't for these chaotic face spirits that compel them to do these things to people. Like, what a weird little face story, but it's super cool. Like, I just created it for the sake of this conversation, but that's actually something I'm going to keep in my back pocket for the future, because that's kind of cool. But that's the kind of shit you can come up with, you know? I mean, it's look at Philly's creating adventure ideas. But the point is that that's the skill set that, like, a new DM is like. New DMs are like, what do I need to do? What do I need to develop as a skill for me to be a great DM? That is exactly your ability to improvise weird stories that lead places. Like the no but or yes and trigger words that are huge, like that are guiding lights in improv comedy. Like, improv comedy is all about yes and. Like, whatever somebody else is inspired to come up with, it's your job to not steal their thunder, because you're not the star. You're a part of a team, right? An improvisation comedy team is a team, and they all have to work with each other, and they all have to build off of each other's ideas. So a good improv team trusts each other, and the way that trust gets built is by not hogging the limelight, by creating yes and scenarios or no but scenarios, preferably yes and, specifically when it comes to comedy. But in D&D in particular, you can have no but scenarios where it's like, this is like when I'm rolling the dice, the randomness will say, no, this isn't true. But if it's something that I think, if my intuition says, no, that's a really good idea, I can bend the questions to be no buts. It's like, I see this as a no, but is there a reason why this is no, and this Medusa is still a good person? It's like, well, because she's got this muse. It's like, oh, well, that's something I can use and work with. So it's actually the muse that's evil, not the Medusa. Yes. And like, the dice would come back like 2-6. Like, it's highly probable that's the answer, and then I roll a 6, and it's like, absolutely that is the answer. That's how the D6 yes no answer process has granularized, like it has granular discernment, like a 6-6. We know it's impossible for that to happen, but yet it is. So if my pixie muse idea came up 6-6, it's like, well, it's highly improbable that this would be the case, but apparently it is. So we get to use that to our benefit, but how are we going to use that? And it's like, well, the highly improbable is that, like, maybe there's not a lot of Feywild connection to this area. So maybe it's that the Fey that are doing this to the Medusa are lost, and they're bored, and they're angry, and they feel compelled to create, and so they're channeling this frustration through these Medusae, for instance. Like, that becomes your storyline, because no, it was highly unlikely this was the case, and yet it is. So what story can we create that makes it highly unlikely that there's Fae here, but yet there is, and this is how they're messing with people? That's how we come up with that, yes, no answer process. Anyway, ramble. But yeah, I mean, that's literally how I DM. I come up with cool ideas. I pepper in some flavor narratives so that the thing can flow smoothly, and then I keep presenting information that I know until the team comes up with something that I don't know the answer, and then I delightfully get to say, I have no idea, let's find out. And then they know that we're in the shenanigan pillar, and that they know that I'm going to be looking to have this tie back in. So at some point, I can admit, I don't know what's going on right now, but after me saying that one statement and me saying yes, like, I might only come back with a yes answer to their question, but I didn't know the answer was yes yet. So yes, that is your answer. And then I continue to DM. They don't really know where the shenanigan pillar stops and we're back on script or not. Like, I don't tell them that. I'd say, I don't know the answer to this question. Hold on real quick. And then I give them an answer. Like, here's the answer. Like, we built that thing. We have no idea how deep the ramifications of that answer actually is. So let's be on guard. And then they're immediately back to being defensive again. Because they got the answer that they wanted, but they don't really know how much I've already built around that answer. So it becomes a fun little variable. So we have completed digging out the holes. So the next step we have is the cobblestones. But we're at 9:15 right now, so we are about out of time. Bam, just like that. So this feels like a pretty good place for me to stop this morning. I have the day off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some housework to keep my home happy. And I plan on being back on, let's go for 2 hours. I'll be back in 2 hours, and I'll be doing some Spelljammer stuff for at least an hour, maybe more. We're going to work on upscaling spells to the 50 and 500 foot scale and see how different spells are affected by that, like we looked at on Saturday a couple days ago. And this will be a continuation of that. And we'll see how far that goes, and then we'll get, and assuming that we get done with that, we'll get back into illustrating the Citadel of Light. We'll get back into mapping that out. So that's where we're at for now. On Z-Man, thanks a lot for showing up. Anyone else that's showing up for the thread, this super long casual language format, YouTube doesn't know what the hell to do with me. So we got to let them know that this is stuff that people want to see more creators doing by hitting like and subscribe, dropping in comments to say, hey, what up? Hell yeah, man. It is my absolute privilege and joy to produce this type of stuff. I love doing it. I have no reason to stop other than being paralyzed or killed. This is how the muses work. So this is what I do. I will be back in 2.5-ish, maybe a little less hours for some Spell Jam. And we'll keep on keeping on. So I hope you enjoy your day. I am absolutely having a blast. We'll see you on the other side. Thanks a lot, guys.